Alright, so Nahida is getting her rerun, and well, do I regret her? The honest answer is probably yes. I have not used this character in nearly 2 years. This character fell off the face of a cliff. Now, the issue with these do I regret videos is they're supposed to be a check-in on how good the character is, how good they've aged overall. That's sort of the idea. However, this character might shoot up in relevance tremendously. The lunar reactions nowadays are like all gonna be based on EM. So we're kind of going into this weird meta where Nahida could easily be like the top 10 in again. Like she could be top 10 again by the end of, the 5. or 6.0 series updates or lunar series updates, whatever you want to call them. She could end up being that good. However, as it stands right now, there's not a single character I would use this character with, right? Some weird people defended using Nahida with Kinich. That is just dumb. Use Nahida, or not Nahida, use Fiorina or Emily or just someone else who can actually work with this character, and overall that'll probably be better. Use Eon-san, Eon-san mid at Mafuika, it's a good team. Use whoever you want, but Nahida, probably one of the worst characters you could, right? One of the worst. Because genuinely, all Nahida's doing is providing energy, and that's the only thing she's really doing, Because I'm not going to count an artifact set bonus that you could just give to, Mavuika or something, right? You just give this to Mavuika if you're that much of a diehard Kinich main, right? So, don't, not good for, Kinich. All right, what about another relevant DPS, right? What about Mualani? Good for Mualani. 250 elemental mastery, burn, everything checks out, right? It works. But even as someone who, doesn't like necessarily using Sucrose because of her swirling gimmick and it can be a little inconsistent, just use Sucrose. Just go ahead and use Sucrose. Do yourself a favor, use Sucrose one time, realize it's not like that hard, and you're overall better getting 40% res shred, which is not actually equipped on her right now, but 40% res shred along with a load of EM, right? You're just better off getting that than just 250 elemental mastery. Now, Nahida does, give some stuff for burn, that works. Not necessarily what I care about. It's not, burn, good job. Don't really care about it though, because it's not hard to vape Mualani. Out of literally any team that I have issues with vaping Mualani, it is only Seatlali. Only Seatlali I've ever had issues getting Mualani to vape. If you use Kazuha, if you use Sucrose, there's no issues. So burn in theory is oh yeah, really good for Mualani, but in practice, burn just becomes irrelevant because you don't need it. You don't. So, that's one thing. So, where are we at with Nahida? Well, we're at a point where she's just not useful. There's no character in the game right now that is useful for her, right? However, again, level 100 is coming up, right? I don't necessarily remember if Raiden's snapshots are E-skill and if the snapshot actually accounts for the EM, but on-field electro character, level 100, give them 250 EM on a Hyper Bloom team, that's gonna go pretty far. But we should also acknowledge that, the new artifact sets are also giving EM. And EM is not something that you want to stack and stack and stack and stack. There is a certain point where it just stops being worthwhile to keep stacking and to just get another buff. So, and especially with the lunar reactions that actually use the other stats. So, Nahida's value is there still. It's there. But it's not enough value anymore to justify this character being useful, being on your account, really. Even in, Imagineum Theater, I don't get much use out of this character because the point where this character is useful for is characters that are already bad, and you would have to get Nahida at the start, use your bad characters like Sinnoh, and also have a Hydro character, right? Just so that entire team can work. Whereas, just get a Hydro and Electro character that are somewhat competent, and they can generally clear out the small, easy chambers, right? You don't need to have, huge amounts of, damage for those smaller chambers. And I'm not going to trust that, a team with Nahida on it is going to be able to clear, the super strong content comparatively to something where I'm using Skirk Freeze that I've built up and I saved all the good characters for. We're going to just wipe the end bosses, right? There's no need to think about the end bosses. It's really the early game that matters with, Imaginarium Theater. And, with Nahida, sure, she can work, but like, overall, it's never really a priority for me to get Nahida because this character doesn't feel like she utterly changes the team, and generally Dendro characters don't really do that. Like, I don't recall the last time I've been like, oh man, good job, we got a Dendro character, right? It's typically, honestly, that's for most elements. Like, I don't really go like, oh yeah, good job, we got the X element character, right? Generally, it's only Hydro. That's the only element that I feel like that about, because Hydro is so useful for a lot of elements, different, effects. I feel like Hydro, Electro, and Pyro are three elements that have sort of, all been in that way. And Pyro is mainly because the characters are good. Electro is because, for a past couple Stygians, Electro Charge has been very strong. Or not Stygians, Imaginarium Theaters. But overall, just from using this character and having this character on my account, she just has never felt like she was, yeah, let's bring her into Imaginarium Theater. It was never really like that. I never really saw a huge, massive benefit to bringing this character in. It isn't to say that she doesn't give you a benefit, right? It's just that she's in this weird middle ground of being good, but she's so good that you don't want to use her early, but she's not good enough that you don't want to use her late. So she's in this little weird, spot where she's like, all right, she could fit into this spot, but if you're able to clear that spot without Nahida, then what does this character serve, right? What's this character's purpose, right? I don't want to be super harsh on Nahida, right? I'm just saying this character has not really been relevant. She just hasn't. She has not proven anything about basically anything. I don't see this character being, huge right now. However, in a couple updates, maybe we see that Lauma likes, having Nahida on her team. But I think that's another thing we can talk about. Lauma is a off-field Dendro applicator. All right. So we have Lauma, Hydro character, which realistically the Hydro characters are probably going to be Fiorina, Columbina, right? I imagine Columbina is going to be a HP scaler. And, for right now, you're probably going to want to use either Ayano or Yelan for the other slot. And then you also have your DPS sort of character. So Nahida here, you can use her, but again, I think that characters like Fiorina and Yelan could end up just providing more to the game, right? To the characters, right? Like I don't know. She's in a very weird spot where right now she has a lot of potential. Like, the potential is really high for this character to come back, but also she has a lot of things going against her to bring her back. And I don't know. I would lean more towards that she's not going to come back. Like, it's very sad, but I would lean more towards that. I would, because I just do not see this character being utterly amazing or broken or, anything really. The best case scenario that I see of this character is that we use her in a Hyper Bloom team with a level 100 Raiden as our off-field, Hyper Bloom activator, Fiorina, Yelan, Nahida, and then Raiden. And then we just have that team, and Raiden just starts doing a load of damage with Hyper Bloom. Maybe you go ahead and you take off, Yelan for Lauma, right? Not that much Hydro application, but you only need a little bit of Hydro application because, Bloom Course can only hit at like twice every instance or whatever it is. I don't know the exact ratio, but, you can only hit twice every so often. And generally, I think Fiorina is enough for that to happen. So you could have Lauma on this team, right? It would give you the 15% crit rate and like, I forget what her crit damage is, but like Lauma without, the extra, character, although you probably do want the extra Nodcry character because that is the buff that it gives you is that insane. But yeah, I don't like, hating on Nahida. I mean, I love this character. When she was relevant in the story, this character was amazing. I loved her, right? I love seeing everything. I love the, having the whole Sumeru thing happen. I'm not going to talk about it in case anybody hasn't seen it yet. It's a very good storyline. Slow at times, but very good overall. Like, just the visual rituals, you know, that they do, and then, you know, once it all comes together, it's like, oh yeah, that was right. Looking back on it, it's been a while, so I might be a little bit, you know, rose tinted glasses at this point, but you know, it was very cool. I liked it. So yeah, that's really all I have to say. Like, Nahida, it's just sad to say, but she's been very unuseful, right? It's gonna be the same situation with Zhongli. If you don't know, I mean, you guys can know now, like, with Zhongli, he really stopped being useful in 4.0. Or not 4.0, 5.0, technically, because he lasted until the end of 4.0, right? Then they started introducing DPSs that just were like, oh yeah, I have interruption resistance. And that was like a huge thing, right? Because beforehand, you know, we had Nevi and we had Arlecchino. Arlecchino fixes her interruption resistance, but she can still die. So you would use a monopyro Arlecchino with Zhongli, and then you would also use Zhongli with Nevi, because if you didn't have a C1, interruption resistance would destroy your damage. So yeah, now we have an Effa who is a better shielder for Nevi, and overall, I'm not going to talk about it because it's not his video, but yeah, it's sort of the same feeling. It's like, they do still have their usefulness, but I think at this point, they're just gonna grow to be over, you know, or not over countered, but they're just gonna be overdone, right? These characters don't provide enough anymore. Like, 250 elemental mastery, it's not enough. And again, her artifact set, it's an artifact set. Any character can wear this. That is one thing, you know, I think a lot of people should look at when they're looking at Nahida, because I know a lot of people, when they look at a character like Nahida, and they're like, oh, this is their artifact set, so they're automatically like, well, 30% Dendro res, and it's like, no, because 30% Dendro res isn't a cost of not running the character, because you can get 30% Dendro res on any character, right? On any character that does off-field elemental skills, right? Like Fiorina, you could throw, you know, what is it called? Deepwood on her? Right, you can throw Deepwood on Fiorina if you need to. You can. So, yeah. I think that's going to be it for this video. I think it's a very short video, but yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.